Hey guys, it's Andy. She blinded me with refractors. Gonna do a little post national wrap up video. Pictured in the back, we've kind of come full circle here. So on the left, you have the program from the first national I ever attended, which was in Arlington, Texas, July 4th through the 8th, 1990. I was 11 years old. And then you have my guest media pass for the 2023 National. Some might say, what media? You didn't shoot any footage. Well, I did a little bit of shooting footage, just not for me. You can ask Mike, Baseball Collector. I did shoot an interview that he did with Peter from SGC. Mike, asked me if I would do that. Of course I would. He joked around with me, and of course I had to come back for him about the quality of the video. We'll let the work speak for itself, but he questioned my camera work a little bit, so that's the way me and Mike do it, though. We go back and forth a little bit on these things. So everybody knows I love this show. Absolutely love hanging out with my friends. It's just a ton of fun. Looking at everybody else's pickups, seeing the joy, excitement they have, adding big stuff, small stuff, doesn't matter to me. If they're happy with it, I am happy for them. We just have such a great group of, we'll just call them characters in this sports card community. And I'm fortunate enough that I get to call these guys friends as well. So we love to give each other hard times about this and that. And we do that because that's just our way of showing appreciation and respect for each other. I mentioned earlier, kind of joking about the guest media thing. I don't shoot a lot of footage at this show. I didn't shoot any footage. And the reason for me personally is I kind of like to be present in the moment, just soak it in, have as much fun as possible. So to me, shoot it. There's going to be plenty of people out there that shoot footage of the floor and show the crowds and all that, and that's great. So there's plenty of that out there. So I just feel like I don't need to do that, right? So let's start off with a few of the pickups I have. And if you guys know me, more than 0 pickups is a lot for me. And then we're going to talk a little bit longer about some of the cast of characters that I had the joy of being with this week. So we'll start off with some stuff here that I got. Like this is just fantastic. This is the Garrett card cutter refractor, autographed, of course, Slab City autographed. So just absolutely beautiful. And the signature is most likely authentic on this, and it's numbered 4 of 9. So what can I say about this? This is great. Cosmic Cardboard. I haven't heard of this brand, but I'm gonna look into them. That's pretty sweet. And then we have from my good friend Big Scott. I think this is is this a pre-rookie maybe of his? It's signed as well. 6'2" big guy. All of his handles right here. So go check out my man Big Scott. Beautiful signature, buddy. So Scott, Reindeer Studios. Everybody knows, great artist, right? So we're at one of the get-togethers, and Scott just comes up and, just hands me these 2 absolute stunners here. Got Hank Aaron, Christy Mathewson, trademark signature down here. Just gorgeous, man. I told Scott, after he handed me these, I found him later. I'm like, man, you have got to do some pieces for me. This is fantastic work. So these are great, Scott. Really appreciate these. Fantastic. And then my man, Iconic Al. So he gave me a signed card. I believe it was 2 years ago in Chicago. And then he came out with a banger this year. Look at this. Got the suit and tie, gold auto, serial numbered. Jeez, man. See, this is why I don't make custom cards, because what am I gonna do? I can't top this stuff. This is great. So I appreciate it, Al. That's awesome. And then, my good friend Andrew, Nuff Said Cards, he saw this and he's just like, I saw this, so I just had to get it for you, right? So we'll mark all off. I'm not going to show the price on this, but just a beautiful Abraham Lincoln postcard here. So cool. So cool. He knows what I like. So thank you so much, Andrew. Now we'll get into some of the stuff that we've got through some of the free stuff. So let's see if I actually paid for anything, right? I did, spoiler. But so these are two 93 finest refractors. We got Terry Pendleton on the left, Greg Jeffries on the right. Greg Jeffries, huge prospect when I was a kid. Terry Pendleton, former World Series MVP. Got both of these from Marcel. And apparently both of these refractors belong to Raleigh Fingers. And he was selling these on consignment. And you know me, I get the bright idea, like, maybe I'll start working on the 93 finest refractor set. I've done the 94 football, so we'll see where this goes. But yeah, I picked these two up. I'm not usually like a spur of the moment guy, but Josh, Rated Rookie, had been over there, was telling me about some of these refractors. I was like, let's go over there. Let's see what's happening over there. So I picked those two up. Interesting pickups here. I thought these were really cool. The next three pickups are from Jeremy, Big Smooth. So this is 1985 Life magazine, Martin Luther King Jr. To me, this is just like a stunning piece of history. Just great display piece, right? When we're talking about like monetary value, I have no idea. But apparently I'd never seen these. These were part of like a game that came out in 1985. So these three that I picked up are all from this. But I just thought that was like super cool. And then the next one, Mr. and Mrs. Martin Luther King Jr. This is same set. Really cool. I'm a history buff, so. And then this next one, this guy just doesn't have a lot of cards, Alfred Hitchcock, so I thought this was really cool. So I picked these up. So thanks for the deal on these, Jeremy. Really appreciate it. So this was actually the first pickup I had of the show. I saw this, I loved it, and I'm like, let me buy something right off the bat so maybe I can get people off my back. People are going to be coming up to me like, oh, hey, did you buy anything? I can be like, yes, I did. I bought something. So this is I believe this is from the 1890s. And this is J.D. Larkin and Company, Abraham Lincoln. And Sweet Home Soap. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen these. I've showed in the past. I have like some smaller cards of Lincoln and Washington. And same company, the Sweet Home Soap from Buffalo, New York. Really cool bag here. Love these. So I saw this. I was just like, man, I got to get this. Kill two birds with one stone. I pick up an awesome card. Hopefully get people off my back. It didn't work because, I was showing everybody that I ran into this just to be like, hey, I bought something, right? Like, even if they're not asking, I'm like, yeah, here, let me show you. I bought something. And then, the next time I would see them, well, did you buy anything else? I'm like, all right, so this is how it's going to be. And then this final pickup, this is something that I definitely never intended to pick up. I didn't go into the show thinking, yeah, this is a target card for me. But my good friend Brian, B. Roth 6, he showed this to me, I believe on day 2. And I was really interested because I've seen other players from this set, and these are just stunning. And I was like, let me think about it. Let me think about it, Brian. So, he had the card available a couple days later, and I went ahead and picked it up. So, 1913 to 15, Pinkerton, Frank Home Run Baker. Like, this is just great. So, thanks for the deal on this, Brian. Just cool card, great memory from the show. We'll put that in the background there. That's good stuff, man. Now let's get to the people. First off, I'll preface this by saying I'm 100% positive that I've probably left names off of this list. But to be fair, I just did this off the top of my head, and I think I came up with around 65 people that I had interacted with at some point during this show. So, A for effort, right, guys? And if I did forget that I had met with you and talked with you, please put it down in the comments, because obviously I didn't purposely forget. And as soon as you bring it up, I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember this is what we talked about. And so feel free to correct me. So I stayed with Mike, baseball collector, Garrett, card cutter, Mike, Canadian cards, JT, Triple Crown 24, and Michael Double X the Beast. So first off, that's a lot of mics in one room. Just to get that out of the way. So when I think I said earlier something about trash talking, it's kind of our way of showing friendship and respect, and this group takes that to a different level. So Michael, Double X the Beast, and Garrett Card Cutter, they were kind of like the newcomers to the room, but by no means newcomers to the group. I've known Michael for probably 30 years, and I feel like I've known Garrett for that long as well, because, even though we had never met in person because, of his military obligations over the last few years, not being able to go to the National, we talk all the time, and we've talked a ton over the past few years. So these two guys, they slid right into the room, and they immediately became two of the best trash talkers in the room, which I think all of us kind of appreciated and enjoyed that. It kind of felt like at times I was living a real life sitcom, just because of all of the back and forth shots at each other, and just having a great time. Laughed so much this week. This is just a great group of friends, and all these guys bring something unique to the table, bring their own little spice, So many great memories and one-liners that, quite honestly, I could not duplicate if I tried, so I won't. But let me just say many thanks to all 5 of these guys for a great week. Just had a great time, and I'm sure that, the 6 of us will rehash this week soon. So, the fun didn't stop there, though. Dave, Blue Jacket 66, his son Caden, 2 of my favorite people in this hobby. I just love to listen to Dave's stories and just kind of soak up a lot of his knowledge on, not only the hobby, but just life. And, like I commented in his recap, just the fact that, he brings his son Caden and is willing to share him with our group. I mean, that means a lot to all of us, I know. And, we really, enjoy having Caden there. And it's just so fun to be able to kind of see the hobby through a kid's eyes again, which, I mean, he's a young man now, and quite a young man he's become. So that's always a ton of fun. So thank you guys for, hanging out with us. And Josh, Rated Rookie, Scott, Scotty Tradition, Andrew, Enough Said Cards, Eric, those back pages. Spent a lot of time with these guys, walking the floor, shooting the breeze, talking cards. Just, man, great guys. Of course, Brian, B. Roth 6, John Mangini, Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards. Those guys right there. Also, spent a decent amount of time with all three of those guys. Tons and tons of knowledge. Vintage pre-war. You like to, we all probably like to think that we know a lot about cards and the hobby. And, you get around some of these guys and you're just like, geez, man, I need a notebook here just to write this stuff down. So, really appreciate it, guys. Mark Fu, 3112, Big Scott, Dave's Midlife Card Crisis, Ed Wesker Griff, Mike O, John Keating, John Newman, Dawn. I'm sorry, I don't know Dawn's name, but I ran into him a ton, and we would talk about all kinds of different cards throughout the show, like what he had been looking at, picking up. A lot of great vintage pre-war stuff. Jared, I'm not sure of his last name. I know he's one of Josh's good friends, and I've met him several times before. He's always a lot of fun to be around. John, Wade Boggs fan. Had a really good conversation with John when we were walking back from the Lowe's get together on Friday night. He and I were staying in the same hotel, and it had been raining, so we were trying to kind of wait that out, and we walked home it was probably close to 1 o'clock in the morning, and we just had a really good conversation. So I felt like I got to know John a little bit better, and that's one of the things that's great about this show is there's so many of these guys that I've known for years and years, and just being able to get to know them a little bit better. Sometimes you have these one-off conversations that just come out of nowhere, and you really feel like you get to know them a little bit better. So that was great. The most interesting man in the hobby, Nolan, Elite Co 3. This is, there's one night a year that I get to kind of sit there and talk to this guy, pick his brain a little bit, talk some cards. So that's always fun. He's kind of like the man of mystery in the YouTube world. So it's always cool to get to hang out with him a little bit. Eric, 4 Leaf Cards. Scott, Reindeer Studios, Picker Jim, Amish Dave, Bronco Steve, Vinny, the IRP guys. Finally got to meet those guys in person. I think I was on their podcast a couple of weeks ago. Got to, really chop it up with those guys. Getting to see them in person was great. I wish we could have spent more time together, but I honestly, I don't know where you guys were half the time. I kept going back to RBI Crew 7 because I thought that's where you guys would be. And you guys, I don't know what you guys were off doing. You guys were off eating food someplace. I don't know. Brad and Joey, a couple of the OG football guys. Always a pleasure. Mr. Filmington, Dustin, the sports card dad, Neo, Mike and Jesse from Sports Card Nonsense, Chris and Christina from Card Ladder, Jake, 90s B-Ball Cards, Kyle, Wax Museum Podcast, got to meet him for the first time, Flippin' Steve, Eric, who's Oakland A's 915, Maxa Jackson. I didn't get to spend a lot of time with Max. I saw him probably like a minute each time, just very briefly. I think one time he was leaving, and the other time we just saw each other on the floor just randomly, just for a few seconds. I wish I could have spent more time with Max because he's another guy that just has a ton of knowledge. And Orlando, A Collector's Dream, got to meet him. Another guy with great collection, ton of knowledge. I wish I could have spent some more time with just to kind of pick his brain. Nate, Tops 85-401, Snoop. Of course, you saw the card of Al, Iconic Baseball. Luke, Up North Collectors. I didn't get to see his dad, Mike, but I think he had left the prior day when I saw Luke, but I got to talk to Luke a little bit. He's, he started his own card shop when he was 18, so things are going really well for him. Good to see. Brad, PSA Canada, just a super good dude. So Brad, such a nice guy, man. So I was going to get a couple of cards, graded with PSA, and my membership had expired and didn't want to get a new membership. So I hit up Brad. It's like, Brad, man, do you think you would be willing to submit these cards for me? He's like, of course I would. So Brad just goes out of his way to do this for me. Meet up with him. He couldn't have been nicer, which no surprise, because every time I've been around Brad, that's just who he is. Talked a little bit with Andy, Sports Card Investigator. Interesting guy. So got to, chat with him a bit. Victor, the rookie card specialist. Chris from Missouri. Got to know him a little bit better. He went out to eat with us one time, and so he shared some good stories. So I feel like I really got to connect with Chris a lot better. So that was really fun. We both came from small towns, and these are just the kind of things you get to learn about people. When you get to spend a little time with them. So that was a blast. Mr. Bob Lewis. I got to talk to him very briefly. I don't know where he was, and then his partner in crime, Stove, was supposedly there, but I never saw him. So I don't know if he was like in the witness protection program or what. But yeah, I really miss getting to visit with Stove. Of course, Adam, Vintage Sanctuary. James, Elite Hunter, got to talk with him a few times. I stopped Ryan, Breakout Cards, one time. We were kind of talking a little non-sport. Theo, Clemente Collector, he came over to the room one time, hung out for a little bit, so I got to, talk with him. Danny Black, he came over with John Keating, and I know they did like a bench clear. They turned like our room into like the bench clear studio for a little while. So I got there at the tail end of that, got to talk to those guys. And then, of course, Jeremy Big Smooth, I got to talk to him. He's, that's who I got these from. He has a very unique style of collecting. So we discussed that a little bit. Just a ton of fun. And like I said, I tried to briefly hit on some of the topics that were discussed with some of these guys, but there was a lot of really cool in-depth conversations with a lot of these people, and man, I really appreciate it, because it's crowded in there and there's so many people and time is limited. So any bit of time that anyone that I mentioned or possibly forgot to mention, any bit of time that they spent with me sharing their experiences and knowledge, and just kind enough to sit there and sometimes just listen to me talk. That was much appreciated, guys. So I'm gonna wrap it up there, because I could probably go on for hours if I wanted to get really in depth about each and every person, especially like the guys that I stayed with. I mean, we had so many stories that we could probably share that we probably shouldn't share. So I'll not be the one that spills the beans on those. But just an overall great time experience. The show was packed. I think Dave mentioned this in his video, just about how massive the show was, and just all the activity and excitement around the hobby. So it was great to see. Just one of the best experiences I've had in the hobby, and quite frankly, I've had a lot of great experiences. So to say that this was one of the absolute best that's saying something, in my opinion. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. And like I said, if there's somebody out there that watches that we had a conversation, and I threw these 65 names in here just off the top of my head. So I do apologize if there was anyone that was left out. It certainly wasn't intentional, but do throw something down in the comments if we had an interaction, and please refresh my memory, because there was a lot of good memories, and I really want to soak those in. So that's it for me, guys. Take care, and I'll chat with you later.